Well, hello and welcome to Trick or Treat. My name is Mike Mayon. I'm your host for Trick or Treat, and I'm so glad you joined us. If you have, we have a fun show today. We have the usual craziness at the beginning, and then we have our guest Romany here today, and she's going to tell us about her career and do a little bit of magic because, of course, this is Trick or Treat, and we're going to have a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're here live now, well, then give us a little, say hello. And once we get on to the interview, if you have a question for Romany, well, ask away and we'll put it to her. Okay? So let's start the way we usually do with a little fact or fake news.
Fact or fake news, fact or fake news, fact or fake news.
Yes, it's time for fact or fake news. Here is the fact or fake news statement. The prestigious Magic Society, the Magic Circle, was founded in Britain in 1905. A woman was not granted entry into the Magic Circle until 1991. Is that fact or fake news? Hello, Martin. Did you see the fact or fake news? If you did and you know it's fact or fake news, you can win this super medal. All you have to do is say in the comments whether it was fact or fake news. And I hope you got a chance to see, because I want to give this trophy, this beautiful medal to someone today. So Martin Cox is with us and he says hello. Hello, Martin. Hello, Martin. So yes. If you know if that was fact or fake news, if you know it, type it in the comments. And if you get it right, you get this medal, this super medal. Well, there you go. Hey, a quick little note. All theaters are having an issue with attendance because you can't have a theater. So the South Shore Theater Experience, that's our home at the Parlor of Mystery, and they want to stay connected. They do want to stay connected. So what they've done is they put together shows for the Gazebo in Lindenhurst and in Babylon. So if you're into Shakespeare, into the 12th Night, you might want it's outdoors, so you can see it. It's free admission. On the 23rd, it'll be in Lindenhurst at the Gazebo, and on the 19th, that's this Wednesday, you can see 12th Night at the Argyle Gazebo in Babylon Village. I hope you check it out. They're great people at the South Shore Theater Experience. We love them. They're our home, and we hope that you can support them by coming to see the show. Hey, time for a little bit of... That's right. Brain Candy by Geoff Williams and Scott Franz. Now, what they did is they challenged themselves to do some very clever little magic in front of the video camera in one continuous take. And here's this week's episode. Hey, they fooled me. I have no idea. They fooled me. And just to reiterate, that was one continuous take and no camera tricks. So that was kind of fun. And thank you, Geoff Williams and Scott Franz, for allowing us to share with our audience some brain candy. a new segment. Yes, it's the Monty and Walker Minute. And here is a little comedy from Monty and Walker.
I really feel that God sent you down from the heavens to light up my life.
You're so sweet. It makes my heart go pitter-patter.
Now say something to make my heart race.
Your wife just walked in.
Ah, yes. Hey, if you want to see more Monty and Walker, you can go see their show at montywalkerproductions.com. They put something up regularly, and it's very funny. And you can see another clip from Monty and Walker right here next week. I hope you enjoyed that. Hey, if you're just joining us, Romany is my guest, and she'll be out here shortly. But before we go there, we have to share with you the latest adventure from everyone's favorite dead mentalist, Alexander.
Greetings and salutations. It is I, Alexander, the man who knows, here to take you on another trip through the world of extrasensory perception. I have here 4 coins for you: a dime, a penny, a nickel, and a quarter. I want you to place your finger on any one of those coins. In a moment, I'm going to have you make a series of moves as you spell the name of the coin. A move consists of moving your finger 1 coin to the left or to the right. Your choice as you spell each letter. For example, if you were thinking of a nickel, you would spell N-I-C-K-E-L, moving your finger to a coin next to it, right or left for each letter. You can move back and forth if you like, but you can't move off the end of the row. And you'll need to make a move for each letter. Do it now. Good. You've moved your finger, and you may be on a different coin or the same one you started with. I have no way of knowing where you started and how you moved. Keep your finger where it is stopped. But I sense that you did not stop on the quarter, so I will remove the quarter. Now there are only 3 coins in the row. I want you to make one more move. Just one jump to the nearest coin, either to the left or to the right. Do that now. Good. Keep your finger there. Concentrate on the coin you've selected. I'm getting the impression that it's a different color. Not a silver coin. It's made of copper. You selected the penny. Thank you and have a nice day.
Of course, that was Alexander. He got me. And he was brought to life by none other than Joe Silkie. So if you enjoyed that, give us a thumbs up. Hey, if you are watching this on Facebook, I hope you'll subscribe to this channel. It'll help us along a little bit if we get a few more subscribers. And if you're just joining us now, well, stand by, because in not a long time, in a short while, we'll be visiting with Romany in her cottage in England. So stand by. But before we get there, a little bit of magic from yours truly. A little magic illusion with 1, 2, 3 American silver dollars and the magic wand. Watch carefully. I take one coin, I put it in my hand. I take the second coin, I put that in my hand. The third coin, well, that one goes into my pocket. I get the magic wand. I give the magic wand a little wave, just like so. And the coin that's in my pocket travels from my pocket and joins the other two coins in my fist. I'll show you again. One coin, two coins. Yes, two coins. I take the two coins, I put the two coins into my fist. The third coin, that goes into my pocket. I take the magic wand. I give the magic wand a little wave, and the coin that's in my pocket travels from my pocket into my fist to join the other two coins. One last time. One coin, two coins. Those two coins go in my fist. The third coin, well, that goes into my pocket. I get the magic wand. I give the magic wand a little spin, a little wave, a little tap. I say the magic word. Poof. And just like that, poof, they're all gone. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Hey, have you noticed how many jobs are available? Not many. A lot of people are unemployed. A lot of people don't deserve to be employed. Well, I'll show you what I mean.
Won't you please, please help me, help me, help me?
Yes, some people just can't get it right. And I have the evidence to show you what I mean. Let's take a look at some of the work that wasn't done quite up to par. How about this? I don't know, could it be clearer? Don't stack these things? I don't know, this worker just didn't get the hang of that, I suspect. Maybe he can't read. Here's a headline writer who fell asleep at the job. Header goes here. He didn't even spell it right. Well, look at that. There you go. Now, I have a problem already knowing my left from my right. This phone would definitely give me a problem. Or that's a calculator. A phone? Who knows? But it's definitely wrong. Which yellow crayon do you want? Hey, it is back to school time. Let's get those knives out. On the way to school, you might see the handiwork of this road crew. Yeah, whoops. Let's go back there for a moment. How about the way they wrote the school crossing here? Okay, we'll go slow for this school. And can we park in this parking lot? I don't think we'll ever get out. Now, it is important to put the drain in the right spot. You don't want to put the drain in the highest spot. You want to put it in the lowest spot. No. Well, this crew got it wrong. Hey, gotta go, you gotta go. Now that's actually, well, I don't know. In Italy, they didn't have any toilet seats. So I don't know. Is this better? I don't think so. Got to get out quick. You don't want to use that fire escape. Well, I don't know. I think it's going to take more than a quarter to get those Skittles out of this dispenser. It's good to know geography. He probably went to that school we were looking at. Okay, make up your mind. Enter or don't enter. It's always good to know a complicated word like bananas can just be long yellow things. You get those at the store that's open 9 days a week, where you can also purchase some extra fresh sperm. And it's a good value at $10. So that's the handiwork of some workers who where we really don't want to see any more of their work. And now it's time for me to introduce our guest, and I'm going to give that job to someone else. Here we go.
Will you please welcome Romany?
Well, hello, Romany. How are you?
I've been waiting in the wings over there.
You were in the wings over on the side. Yes, very good. So glad that you could join me today. How are you doing?
I'm so excited. This is the nearest thing to show business in 5 months, isn't it?
Isn't that a pity? Isn't that a pity?
It's great. Thank you so much for getting me on. I've got my eyelashes on and everything.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's like I don't have to shave all the time. It's just only when I have to do a show, and it's like, it's a bizarre feeling, isn't it, to be sort of in this quasi state of working and not being able to work. It's just wild.
Right. Half the time you're like, oh, great, I've got nothing to do, and half the time you're thinking I should be doing something, and half the time. Like when you showed my shows, I had that nostalgia, and I was like, oh.
We certainly miss it. That's for sure. We definitely miss it. It's interesting. I saw a picture the other day. You've been keeping yourself busy, though, I know, because I saw a picture of you with a freaking chainsaw in your hand the other day. What was that about?
Well, so later on, I'll tell you that my husband's gone to live in a Buddhist monastery, long story,
Uh-huh.
but of course it's a big forest, and he got obsessed by the wood, and I've got a wood burning stove. And so I said, well, what if I buy a chainsaw? Then I can chop up all the wood in the forest, and they've said I can have as much wood as I want.
Uh-huh.
So now I've got a chainsaw.
Okay, well, there you go. You'll have to incorporate that into your act one of these days. That would be
It's satisfying, though. It's so, and then you've got a great big van of wood, and then it goes in the fire, and yeah.
I'm sure you've been doing organizing all your magic as well, right? Just like I haven't been. No.
I feel so guilty. If any other magicians are out there watching and you've organised your magic thing, I don't want to be friends anymore. And if anyone hasn't, we're friends. What is it with that? Why have I not organised my magic studio?
It is the perfect time, isn't it? Isn't it? Hey, I want to show a little piece of video that shows you, I guess, when you just got started performing. So let me show this little piece of video to the audience.
Amazing.
I had no idea you juggled.
Yeah, I started off as a juggler. I learnt at university. I wanted to be an actress, but all the actresses were so pretentious that instead I went to the Circus Skills Society and I learnt to juggle. And then, of course, I married a juggler, and that show was on my wedding day.
Oh, was it really? Was that your husband in the juggling with you?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And we became street performers. Well, he was a street performer, and we went around the world doing that. Cobble Comedy Company. It was a knife throwing, whip cracking, fire juggling show.
Interesting. Now, were you always involved in theater before, or did you have a real job at one point?
Well, I was always a stage-struck child, so I was always in the amateur operatics, and I trained in dancing, and I wanted to be a ballerina and all those things. But my parents, I was thinking about that. My mother left school when she was 14, and my father left school when he was 16, and they were very working class and poor. So for them, getting a good job was very important. So I got a good job, and I was a sales executive on the graduate fast track management scheme, and I had a briefcase and high heels, and it was the early 90s, and I actually had a salary.
Wow. And then you got married, and that brought you into the entertainment industry.
I went to an evening class with Michael Dow from Men in Coats that many magicians will know, really fabulous. Look up Men in Coats on YouTube. And he and I did an act together. I didn't know anything, but he did. And it was at that festival in Linz that I got introduced to this German juggler, fell in love, and then married him. And so I already had given up my job to be a magician, but I didn't know how to be a magician because it was before the internet, and who knew how, I was 26 already, and I didn't know how to learn.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Let's take a look at a few photographs that we have. Let's see if we can get that up. Now you're with two very famous magicians in this picture, Jeff McBride and Eugene Berger, and it's a small picture and a little bit fuzzy, so we can't really see if this is a recent picture or from long ago. Of course,
No, that's when I was 26.
You were just starting magic then.
Yeah, 25 years ago. 25 years. Okay. And so Jeff and Eugene were the first teachers I met. And they were the first ones to really encourage me. And so Jeff and Eugene, they became my mentors, my teachers. And I kept going back to Las Vegas to study with them. And I went to this amazing thing called Mystery School with Bob Neal. Max Maven wasn't there at the time, but he was one of the gang. Oh, a whole bunch of wonderful magicians, and it was really magical. And so I just kept going back to Las Vegas to learn. So they were my mentors for many, many years, and yeah, very lucky. I met them in my first year of magic. So
so many people have such good things to say about Mystery School, and people keep telling me, Mike, you have to go out there. You have to go out there, and then I hear about the little bells that they ring and. The spiritual stuff.
You've got to believe in magic of all time. I believe in anything.
I don't know. But I understand, people do get such value. What was that?
The camaraderie, everyone becomes great friends. And the best thing is, I remember what Jeff does, it's very clever. He says, what do you want from this class? And so you say what you want from this class, and he really makes it his real thing to give it to you. For example, he once invited me to something like Magic and Meaning or some sort of a bit esoteric magic club. And I went to that, and it wasn't really my cup of tea, but it was a lot of money, which I didn't have at the time. And in the feedback form, I wrote, I would have been better off spending my $200, whatever, on a one-to-one with Jeff. And that night while I was still in Vegas, he called me up and invited me over to the house and gave me that one-to-one.
Oh my. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, he's pretty cool. Yeah.
Well, he's a super nice guy too, Jeff. Jeff is, he's just a nice guy. Every time I do get a chance to chat with him, he's just so welcoming. He really is. I know.
And Eugene, of course, was just lovely.
How long is Eugene deceased now? He's been
4 years.
Is it?
I don't know. You know what? I think of him. In my magic studio, which is not in this cottage because I had to move. I had a picture of him on my wall, and he was the only magician I've got on my wall. And you know what? I think of Eugene every day because I step on the scales every day to watch my weight. And Eugene had a struggle with his weight, and he would step on the scales every day. And people debate whether this is good, but he said to me, Romany, Romany with this big beard, it keeps you honest. And every time I step on the scales, I literally think of Eugene.
Well, that's kind of fun. I just think of what I ate the day before, that I'm sorry now. Let's take a look at another picture. Now, this one is, where are you and who are you performing for or with?
Right. So I gave you there's two pictures as the example of this crazy life we lead as magicians, isn't it? So I was in Bangkok. They flew me all the way to Bangkok for one night. It was the opening of a Kaplinski hotel. The princess of Thailand was there, and I just had to wander around doing a couple of hours of close-up. There was a chaplain, there were Maasai warriors, there was a whole bunch of entertainers, and we literally did 2 hours, and then we flew back again.
Wow. Wasn't there a song one night in Bangkok?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was, wasn't there? Yeah.
My husband says that he can never find out what song I'm singing. If I think, I go, you know that song? He goes, I have no idea. So I went.
Okay. It didn't sound one bit like it, but I know there's a song. And these look like Maasai warriors.
Yeah, they are. So that was the same night. And there's this whole gang of the real Maasai warriors
Yeah.
shipped over from,
That was the same night in Bangkok?
right.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And they wouldn't stay in the hotel because they're real Maasai warriors. And so they just slept by the swimming pool.
My daughter she went to Africa on a nursing mission, and she stayed in a Maasai hut overnight, and had some wonderful stories about just the lifestyle that they have, and so it doesn't surprise me at all that they would want to sleep by the swimming pool.
Right. But we're so fortunate as magicians. We get to go everywhere and see, and we get to go backstage. That's my favorite thing, in that we get to see the backstages of these grand palaces. And
Yeah, they're also sometimes they're not so glorious, are they? The back.
no, absolutely not. No,
Okay.
not at all.
Well, you're a world performer. I mean, you've been around the world performing. I'm pretty much a regional guy, so I haven't had the same experiences you have to go to these foreign places and perform and meet people. I meet them this way.
In their living rooms.
Yeah. And you're an award winner, which means you have also been in contests. And that's something else that I have never done. And I know a lot of magicians do compete, and a lot of them don't take home trophies. So tell us about this.
So historically, I never wanted to practice. I had these big dreams, but I did not want to practice. And also at the time, I didn't have any money. So I was living in a very small room, and I had a tiny, tiny space behind the bed to practice. So I didn't like practicing. And I had a video camera, because you're meant to video yourself. And I did not like watching myself in the video camera. So I went in for that competition because I thought the fear of performing at the Magic Circle for my Magic Circle colleagues and friends will force me. Surely that must force me to practice. And it did, but I had no idea of winning. And in fact, I was standing in the lineup, and they'd announce the third person, and they'd announce the second person. And I'm looking along the line thinking, I wonder who's won. And then they announced my name, and I remember I nearly dropped that trophy because I was completely astonished. So I really only did it to practice.
I can understand that, because I don't think many people like to practice. It is one of those things. And what's interesting too is there's a difference between rehearsing and practice, which a lot of starting out magicians aren't aware of. Because you can sit there and practice, a double lift or a particular move over and over and over again. But it's so different than when you rehearse your set. All of a sudden you realize you have to deal with pocket management. You don't have this in the right spot to grab it, and then you have to think of your blocking. So that goes one step even further than practicing. And but competing, you have to do all those things. I mean, you can't.
But I remember for me, because my costume is very specific, and so I would have
very beautiful too. It's very beautiful costume.
I'd have to put the costume on to practice in it. I couldn't practice without the costume, and so I didn't ever want to do that. I remember I'd won that competition, and then I was entering another one, the IBM one, and I wasn't practicing. My husband said, different husband, he said, you have to get up in the morning and you have to put the costume on and do your 6-minute act through 3 times to camera, and only then are you allowed out. I was like, but I did it. And funnily enough, when you actually practice, you actually rehearse, things start to work.
It is amazing. It is great. And you mentioned the video camera, and as much as it's a pain sometimes to see yourself on video, it is a great tell. You can really, you just. I
had a terrible time. It was so silly. It was very foolish of me. The second time I went to the Magic Castle, I wanted to do a new act, and so I did practice, but I only practiced the mirror, not the video. And so. It's a bit like if you were going to put your makeup on in the mirror or shave in the mirror, you're using the mirror to know where things are. And the same with practicing. I could look in the mirror of me being filmed and go, oh, look, that's my elbow. But if you don't have the mirror there, suddenly you're on stage and you don't know where anything is. And that's what happened to me at the Magic Castle. Luckily, they thought it was a comedy act.
Yeah, That's a bad place for that to happen. Hey, Martin tells me two things. Martin Cox is on with us, and he says that he has not cleaned his magic drawer, so he's a friend.
Martin, thank you. I know you're probably just saying that, but thank you.
And he says that a singing group by the name of Chess sang one night in Bangkok. I don't know. I'll try.
Martin Cox is a great performer. He's the hard man of magic and a long-time friend of mine. So.
Martin is a friend to everyone. He's a great guy. He's a great guy and a terrific magician. And I'm going to make him teach me his card warp again. He's fantastic. Hey, here's a great picture. I want to show you this one. Aside from being just an absolutely beautiful photograph, which I always appreciate a beautiful photograph, it shows your costume in full regalia, and this is an award from Siegfried and Roy. Tell me about that.
So that was the story that Siegfried and Roy, huge heroes of mine, and they said to them, they said they're Samorti, Siegfried and Roy, masters of the impossible.
Mm-hmm.
I was really struggling to get anywhere in my career, and I didn't have an act still. Even though I'd won the competitions, I still didn't have an act. And I thought, if I could just touch them, if I could just speak to them, maybe their magic would rub off on me. I was a bit superstitious. And so I went to the show at Palladium, and I only had enough money to be in the gods, so their magic didn't reach that far. And then I thought, I'm going to go in for their competition in Las Vegas, because even if I'm rubbish, they'll come and talk to me backstage. And I thought there'd be about 40 people entering, and it wouldn't matter if my magic wasn't that good. Anyway, so I wrote, and the organizer said, you've got the last of 7 places. And I watched, and it was the champion of China. It was Andrew, I can't remember his name. Anyway, it was all fabulous performers from around the world, really nifty manipulators. And I'd been really winning everything on comedy, say. But I thought, okay, I'm going to do it. So I really, I photoshopped my face onto an old Photoshop of Raphael, who'd won it the year before. And I put my face on his, holding the check between Siegfried and Roy and other winners. And I walked around the woods going, I've won. And then I went there, and when I did my famous coins across trick, one of the guys nearly had a heart attack. And he fell down on the floor and started heavily breathing. And of course, there was 1,000 magicians, and everyone was like, ooh, and I was thinking, oh my God, I've killed him. Finally, he gets up. And after that, everything we did was comedy. And I walked off knowing that I'd won it, because it was just a real fluke. And I finally got that photograph with Siegfried and Roy holding the check for $5,000.
Yeah. This is not the photoshopped one, yeah.
No, there's all the other guys in the middle, but somehow Roy beat me to it. So he's
this is a beautiful little theater. And I'm sure there's a story that goes along with this. It's obviously set up by a woman. It looks great.
So Geoff always taught to make a magic theatre in your living room. Now, I understand if you're a male magician, your wife might not like that, but that was my house. So that was my second theatre, and it was in my last house, and I would have 25 people at a time in, and I would do my full show, maybe, or an hour show maybe, and then we'd have a bit of a party in the kitchen, and it was fantastic. And this was it wasn't really to make money. I did charge them, but it was really to practice.
Uh-huh.
Unfortunately, due to COVID, that was all going on. And then in March, I had to move house because it was a really big house. And so I've downsized. And so I had to get completely rid of that little theatre. So that is no more, but it's part of history.
Yeah. So now, do you have enough room to practice? You just can't have and to rehearse. You just can't have an audience now.
Are we practicing now? So in this little cottage, which is wonderful in the Lake District, I've got 2 bedrooms. So I've got 1 bedroom and 1 magic room. And this is a really big living room. So if I wanted to practice, I could. It's really cute. So actually, I could make this into a magic theatre. But these days, I think I prefer to go to a theatre with lights and all that because it's quite a lot of work to set up your own theatre.
It is indeed. It is indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's take a look at. Oh, this is this now. Not everybody gets to be on Fool Us, so I have a little piece of video from Fool Us, and let me play that. Let's find it here.
Romany.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I will perform here a very difficult and dangerous trick. I'm looking for somebody to tie me up. Cheeks tight. I shall enter in behind you.
Oh dear.
I'm coming in.
The first.
Can you feel my presence?
I feel both of them.
So now Sandy is going to raise the tunnel over and wiggle it. So are you ready? 1, 2, 3, up. Monsieur Ross, just relax. 1, 2, 3, and down.
That is a great bit. That is just a wonderful piece from Penn and Teller. I trimmed it down so people don't get to see all of the fun and antics of that particular performance, but they can see it on YouTube if they wanted to see it. Now that's from the very first season of Penn and Teller, which was in England. What was it like?
That was brilliant. That was 2011.
2011.
And this was following Britain's Got Talent when Simon Cowell was being mean to all the magicians at that time. He was making all the magicians look really stupid. And so with Penn and Teller, we didn't know whether Penn, not Teller, maybe Penn would make us look silly or something, but they didn't. They really created a really good vehicle to show magic. Mm-hmm. And I took a chance, and it was just nice and fun from beginning to end. They treated us really well. It was brilliant. And that getting that show reel really brought me in lots of work. That was where I got all my cruise work from. And, having that quality of show reel says to producers and agents that, you are a professional. So I was really lucky with that.
Sure. Yeah, they of course went on to produce many seasons and are still doing the show here in the States. And they switched the host. Now the host is like not known at all, or he, the one that was in your show, not known at all. But I understand he's very big celebrity in England. Is that true?
Yeah, he's a really big chat show host.
Yeah,
everyone knows Jonathan Ross, and he was a really nice guy. I remember. In the rehearsal, he's not helping me, probably as magicians know, he's not helping me at all. Mm-hmm. But I remember I wanted to do it twice just to check everything. And I said, and he was like, you take your time, it's your show. He was really, really nice. Yeah.
That's a, everybody, I know a number of magicians who've been on the show, and they all have good things to say about it. Yeah. It's not like I've heard horror stories from America's Got Talent, from the magicians who performed on that. And it's, the format is just different. And it's always fun as a magician watching the show just to dissect and understand Penn when he tries to explain the trick in a code that only magicians will understand. That's a fun show.
I remember in that one, he sort of explained a bit, and then he went on to explain a bit too much for my liking. And I remember
he does that.
Everybody, yeah. Of course, the lovely Johnny Thompson was like, oh, look, there he is.
There he is, yeah.
Paul Daniels was there that day because his son Martin Daniels was doing a spot.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
And those are two greats of magic standing side by side with you. Paul Daniels. A lot of people here in the States don't know how huge a magic star he was in England.
Yeah.
Had television shows on for years and years and years.
Yeah.
And Johnny, but all magicians know Johnny Thompson.
Yeah.
States. And Johnny Thompson, I think he was supposedly the person who was in the intercom, helping determine whether or not Penn and Teller actually knew the trick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. We have a picture of you now. This is I think it's just a beautiful picture of you. You told me it was a selfie.
It's a selfie in the wings. It was just this year, and I was in the wings, and behind me is the stage. And I'm very lucky. They gave me this beautiful lighting, and just like that, with a selfie, and yeah, I got a nice shot.
Now, was that on a cruise ship?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've been doing cruise ships for 8 years, but I only do about 10 weeks a year because I had a dog, Bongo, named after Ali Bongo, and I didn't want to leave my dog behind, and so I did about 10 weeks a year on cruises.
10 weeks a year on cruises, and what's the experience like on a cruise ship for a magician?
So the show itself is fantastic because you've got a whole theatre to yourself, and you've got real technicians. You've got a crew of 8 people, and it's proper theatre. You've got a dressing room, and the audience is really there to see you, and that's fantastic. So that is fantastic, and that's why we do it. The downside is all the travel. You're traveling all the time, and I had 2 times 20 kilos of luggage, plus about 10-15 kilos on my back. So you imagine traveling all the time with all this luggage, and it's pretty lonely. You're there on a ship, really.
Yeah, it seems glamorous from the outside, but it can be a grind. It can be a grind.
I love dancing, so I used to join in the dancing and the music and all that, and I love traveling, but yeah, it's a bit lonely, and I didn't want to do it too much.
Yeah. Now, you're one of, I guess, only a handful of female magicians. Why do you think that is?
Well, first of all, I have to say that there's more female magicians than we think. I know we're only about 1%, but
that's a little bit.
Maybe a bit less. But last week I did the Sisters of Mystery with Abigail McBride and Jen Kramer and Connie Boyd and many other magicians. So, and I know that Richard Kaufman on Genie is now every other cover. He's having a woman, a man, a woman, a man. And so there's quite a lot of professional, maybe obviously not as many as men. For me, I had never seen a magician in my childhood. So I wanted to be a ballerina or an actress. I didn't know that I could be a magician. Plus, I don't know, the guys seem to really like practicing with cards and stuff like that, and I really don't. The only reason I want to be a magician is I want to be in feathers and lights and da-da on the stage. I mean, if I can get away without practicing all those card stuff, then I would, because I really don't like it. Yeah, I mean, I love creating magic, and I love telling a story, but I know a lot of guys, they really love practicing magic all the time, and I really don't.
Yeah, I am. It's funny. I'm the father of 3 daughters, so it's always interesting to see. And you try to, you read about how women are sometimes forced into certain roles. They don't excel in math yet. Early on, it's even. Why do the boys seem to excel in math and the girls more towards other subjects? I always find it fascinating, and it does intrigue me as to why you don't find a lot of 9-year-old girls wanting to be magicians, and maybe it is because there aren't a lot to admire.
So again, my husband is really handy. He's really good at mechanics and fixing things, and I'm really not. And now and I think, would you say that most women aren't that good at fixing things? I might be doing my sex a disservice, but it seems to be that why are there very few car mechanics?
Yeah.
Or
it is interesting, and I personally, I think women are every bit as capable as men in just about everything.
I'm very lucky because I think magic is actually a very feminine thing. A silk scarf turns into a rose. I can do all this.
Yeah.
If you do that, it's a little
A
bit.
little silly.
Women are very fluid and they can do all that. And I think it's easier for a woman to do magic and make it look nicer because we tend to move, unless you're Fred Astaire.
Yeah, right. Well, I'd like
Yeah.
to see more female magicians. I hope you're a trendsetter and an inspiration for a lot of little girls who want to become.
A lot coming up, especially in Asia and in America, and of course Hermione Granger in Harry Potter has really inspired lots of girls. So I think loads of girls are doing it now.
Well, good. Glad to hear. Now you have been on the cover, and I just love this picture of you on the cover of Vanity. It's really a great looking cover. And tell me about your experience with Vanish magazine.
Well, I've always been a fan of Paul Romhani. I didn't know him, but I liked what he was doing. Very visual stage magic.
His chaplain is beautiful. Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And then I saw he was doing a lecture in my local magic club. So I went along. And then I noticed that he was in a hotel minutes from my house. And so I said, hey, do you want to meet in the morning for coffee? And we just really clicked. Lots of similar experiences. And so he said, do you want to write for Vanish? And I was really, really flattered. But 6 months went past and I didn't write anything. And then I finally wrote something, and then I wrote something again. And then I said, you know what? I'm sure no one wants to read what I've written. I don't mind if you never ask me again. And he said, don't be crazy. The feedback I've got, because you've been writing very honestly, because sometimes magicians, we tend to embellish the truth, like how many we've got and how much we're earning and et cetera, et cetera. And I had done the opposite. I had told everyone my failures. So I kept writing these very honest anecdotes. And what happened was I enjoyed writing so much and the feedback was good that then that developed into my book. And so lots of the chapters of my book were actually first articles in Vanish. And it was really Paul's encouragement that got me to write. And there's a book.
Speaking of which, this is your book. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, that actually is the same photograph, isn't it? The same photograph that's on there is the one that was used on the cover of the Vanish magazine, which is just a great piece of art. It just is. Who did it?
So it's a fantastic photographer, burlesque photographer called Neil Nez Kendall, who's got great, his photography is wonderful. And he had a whole setup, he painted the backdrop, and I went along and I had a professional makeup artist do my hair and makeup and got my coat on. And I did that. I really like that thing of, magic. So I've actually got a book. And then, I don't know, a sort of Photoshoppy person did all the twinkles and things. And really, it's that wonderful thing of magic from stories and sending magic out into the world. So that was the image.
Yeah. Well, it definitely is a magical picture, and I take a lot of pictures. So when I see a good picture, I can really appreciate it, and that is just a beauty. That is just a beauty. But tell me about the book.
Oh, and also the title, Spun into Gold. Lots of people had different titles that they said I should call it A Girl with a Feather in Her Cap, or thanks to Hal Mayers. But that title, when you just get an idea in your head, it's almost like downloaded. And that Spun into Gold, it was that. And so what that meant for me was alchemy. And it was, the idea is that whatever experience I've had or help I could give the world, and my experiences in this lifetime, is the idea that you can transform them, spin them into gold. This is what alchemists do. So that, and then the idea is they land like gold and glitter in the world and help everybody. That was my plan. And as I wrote the book, I would pray all the time. I was like, please let this help. And so that's where that image came from, Spun into Gold. And it's been out 2 years now, and I have got countless letters from people saying it's really helped. It's helped them be more creative. It's my story, my secret story of struggle and is their story too. My car mechanic has 2 daughters that are struggling with an eating disorder and anxiety. And so he read it, and that helped him as a father understand his daughters.
Mm-hmm.
Same with my ex-personal trainer. This is a guy, he doesn't have those issues, but he's got 2 daughters, one's 13, one's 16, eating disorders and anxiety and body image and all this stuff that the younger generation has to struggle with these days.
It's not a book just for magicians then.
No, and in fact, it's not really magician. It's not really magicians that are reading it. Although lots of magicians have read it. For example, Anthony Owen, who sadly passed. He also struggled with mental health. And so he really championed it. John Lenihan, have you come across John Lenihan? He's an American magician in here. Said he didn't want to read it because he's a writer, because he didn't want to, he's my friend, and he didn't want to be put in the awkward position of having to, read a terrible book. And he was like, damn, the girl can write. So he was, it's a book for everybody. Well, it's just a book for everybody. It's tells my tale of magic, but it's just this idea of having a dream and not giving up. And also because it took me such a long time. In fact, my theme is persistence. I'm not someone that's done something quickly and easily, but it's the idea is you just keep going.
Yeah. But
also in my struggle to overcome different things, I found that my real key was to find my joy. So, for example, find the things that I like doing in life, like dancing and going on bike rides and gardening and all this sort of stuff. And rather than stressing myself out, having real aims that I have to do something or whatever, if I'm enjoying myself, then I'm much healthier because I'm not having to use coping strategies, like eating, drinking, whatever it is. And so that was that. I just hope it helps all young people who are, struggling with life. Life's tricky.
Yeah.
So this is Elizabeth here. Who's a really big star. If any male magicians are watching, ask your wife if she's heard of Liz Gilbert. She wrote Eat, Pray, Love.
Oh, okay. I've heard the title of the book. Yes.
Right. And she wrote this amazing book called Big Magic that I read. It's not a magic book, but it is magical. I read it. It's about following your dream no matter what. I read it the next day. I started writing, and then I finished the book in order to get it to her lecture. And then the lecture got cancelled, and then I jumped off a cruise ship, and it's a whole story that you can go to my website and read the story called Persistence, romanymagic.com. And then at this workshop in London, I was carrying all these balloons, and I had my book to give it to her, and they wouldn't let me in. And so I failed. But a year later, in February, I saw that she was talking in Fiji. Mm-hmm. And so I said to the organizer, I will pay my own way. I will give you a show and a keynote speech as long as you allow me to do that and have access to her. So I went all the way in February.
Wow.
Paying my way, because sometimes you've got to put your money where your dreams are. Uh-huh. And I ended up doing a really beautiful show for 130 women, some who were in the swimming pool. And the next morning, as she watched the show, next morning, a keynote speech where I finally gave the book and the balloons to her. And it was a talk on the magical power of persistence. Because what happens if you persist? Magical things happen. And so I started my new career as a speaker, which unfortunately has been put on hold because of COVID.
Everything.
But I enjoyed it because it's like doing a show.
Yeah.
And so, well, if I was working now, that's what I'd be working on. But I just keep playing truant and reading, chopping up wood.
Now, that is your book in Geoff McBride's hand, yes?
Yeah, because of course, Geoff features a lot in the book because I went to fire dance, which is Geoff's thing where we dance around the fire in the mountains. And there was a bunch of magicians there, Paul Harris, all the names have gone out my head now. Oh. Anyway, a whole bunch of magicians that all the magicians will know, they were at fire dance and we danced around the fire and we had 2 weeks up high in the mountains and all those stories in the book. And so, of course, and that was a show we did 3 years ago in England.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And we have a picture of, this is just a fun picture. I just love this picture. And now, I've heard this thing, a command performance. Is that what that is? Was that
That's what
part
we
of it?
call it. Basically, they ring you up and say, would you work at the palace? And of course you would.
Of course you
So
would.
if they don't pay you, the royal family do not pay, even Penn and Teller. Penn and Teller did it the year before, more or less. They don't pay even Penn and Teller. But you do get all the photographs. And so publicity-wise, any booker will say, well, if you're good enough to do a show for the royal family, you must be okay.
You must be okay, yeah.
And you know what? That was such a fun thing to do. I didn't worry about that because I knew that it would be very pleasant because the royal family are all very pleasant. And he was lovely. He was just really lovely.
Was he? Do you think he's ever going to be king? Goodness gracious.
Dreams can come true. I never ever thought that I would do a show for the royal family. And yet.
Yeah, you've done some amazing. You've been in some amazing places, done shows in amazing places, and for wonderful audiences. This is just terrific.
Yeah.
Now this was actually a performance that I got to see you do at the Genie Convention. This is from Genie Magazine, and at the last Genie Convention, you were a featured performer, and it was the first time that I got to see your whole act. And well, you stole the show without question. And I got to photograph it because I take some pictures for Genie Magazine at the convention, and it was just so much fun to take pictures of you because you're just so beautiful on stage, and your magic is so wonderful. So yeah, those pictures. Tell us about the Genie Convention.
So Richard has been a supporter of my book for a long time. So he read it a year ago, whatever. And about a year ago, he asked me to, when I was at the Magic Castle, he said, would I do a 45-minute show at Genie? And I was like, 45? Because obviously when it's not my show, you usually do 10 minutes or 20 minutes. And so over the year, I kept going back to him and said, are you sure you want me to do 45? In a convention, no one does 45 minutes.
No.
He kept saying yes. So I was like, okay. I was so nervous because how many magicians were there? 800?
Oh, yeah, nearly 1,000, sure. I mean, no, it was sold out. It was sold out.
Right.
I almost had a hard time getting there myself because so many people want to go to it.
And there was Jim Steinmeier there and Paul Harris and everybody, like big names, Max Maven.
Absolutely.
So I was terrified.
Rightly so. It would be.
And then actually, you know what happened? So when it was in a hotel, and so it wasn't a real theatre, they made it into a theatre.
Yeah.
So when I walked out on stage, I realised there were big screens there and big screens here. And I realised actually it was a television audience, really, because that side of the theatre were watching me on that screen, and that side watching me on this side, and no one was actually watching me.
I was.
Right. And I was like, oh, and so really, you had to start playing to camera, really. It was an interesting thing. But anyway, it was a lovely audience, and it went well. And my most difficult thing is that right at the front when I do my 3 minutes of technical magic, which is harder than anything else I do. And it actually worked. It didn't go wrong.
No.
So
no. A relief. Yeah. No, it was great. As I said, and I wasn't joking. It was one of the highlights of the convention. There were some low points in the convention, as in any convention, and there were some high points, and that was one of the high points. The other high point actually was interesting. It was a magician who was a fill-in, and he was I can't remember his name. I'm like you with the names. He's like a Disney. Magician, and he's been doing the Disney in Orlando for years and years and years and years and years, and he was just the most entertaining. And I think it's because, like your show, it's not only magical, there's a comedy component that makes you really enjoy the show that much more, and I like comedy, so I like the blending of the two, to me. And he was, and so we.
Now it's such an honor to do that. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
So, and big kudos to Richard Kaufman he had a whole bunch of women in that convention. He's a real storyteller. Yeah.
He did, actually. He had a number of women in the convention. Now, now that takes us up to today, and this is well. I mentioned the sawing with the chainsaw, and this looks like you're doing a bunch of planting. So what's going on?
Right. So my last show was in Fiji, as I told you, and it was fantastic and great. And I'd started my career as a speaker as well as a performer. And then I came back in March, and then COVID hit. And my husband is a very dedicated Buddhist. And so he'd given up his job as a barber and is working for free in the monastery. He does all the maintenance and he lives there. So I thought I'd come up and have a little cottage nearby. And then I could have a little cottage, and then I could carry on my lovely glamorous life of cruising and traveling and speaking, and keep my house in Brighton. And suddenly that all changed. So I had to rent out my house in Brighton, get rid of the theatre, and then the monastery locked down because they had many older people. So I had the choice: either stay on my own in the cottage or join him in the monastery. Right. So, of course, I joined him in the monastery, and I had to work for my keep. And so I didn't want to do the housework or clean the toilets. So I suggested I'd do the garden. And so I worked for 12 weeks full time as a gardener. So those other guys are monks. And so I just worked on 85 acres of the garden. And it was really good fun. What was good was to have a complete break. You know, it's hard physical work, and I didn't think about show business or magic or anything I needed to practice or anything. I just had to work and create gardens. And I was hacking down plants because it hadn't been touched for 10 years. And I really enjoyed it.
You know, it's so funny. When I think of a monk, I don't think of guys that look like that. It's just...
They're young there. They're not all young. All the old people were sort of locked away because of Corona, but a lot of them are in their 20s and... Yeah. And the nuns as well. It's funny, nearly everyone's got shaved heads, and I'm like the only one with hair. So,
well, you know, the name of our show is A Trick or Treat, and so I'm hoping you have a trick to share with us. We've already gotten a treat, and that's spending some time with you. But do you have a trick for us?
I haven't done a trick for 5 months, and I'm hoping it's going to go well. And if it doesn't go well, it's not my fault, it's yours, okay?
Okay, deal.
And also, just to preface this, is that the 2 tricks I'm going to do, I'm sure magicians, they're not new ones, but they were both invented by magicians from the British Magic Circle many years ago. So they're both classics, Pat Page and Peter Kane.
Okay.
So in my show, there's a segment, and I say, I'm going to do a card trick. But first of all, you have to get out your money. Now, of course, if you haven't got any money, in fact, this isn't the real script, but I'm just going to jazz it up. If you haven't got any money, then you need to use your imagination and just imagine it. So put that money where I can see it, down here. Now, I have got for you 7 cards. All alike, except one. This is the lady in red, Lady Luck. If you can find her again, then you can double your money. Now, I put down 3 cards. 1, 2. Oh, can you still see? I'm not cheating. You can just see them in the shot, can't you? 3. Well done, Mike. Now, where is Lady Luck? Is she on there, or is she in my hands? If I can hear you saying, through the mysteries of the internet, she is in my hands, I say to you, you lose your money too easily. Lady Luck. Oh, wait, that's right, I forgot my script. But if you use your imagination wisely, you will never lose. Lady Luck will be wherever you choose. What's more, for the rest of you, my life's advice is to eat your greens, to touch your toes, enjoy your life, forget your woes, and always remember to love your bottoms, however wobbly they may be.
Oh, isn't that wonderful?
And people that knew Peter Kane will recognize that as a larger gypsy curse, which is a more of a card trick. But that was the first trick I learned, and I did it from a Magic Circle exam 25 years ago. And then as a street performer, I wanted to bring it up and make the cards bigger. And now in my show, they're upstairs, I've got even bigger cards. Because,
well,
but it's a nice trick, isn't it? Yeah.
A beautiful trick and very well executed. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And thank you so much for being my guest today. It was just such a delightful pleasure to speak with you, to look at some pictures together with you, and to learn all about your career. Now, if somebody wanted to get your book, which I bet they might if they look at this.
You're under hypnosis, like hypnosis. Woo, woo. It's on no, there we go. It's on Amazon and Book Depository, and then I spent a whole year last year recording it, so it's on Audible. Okay. So when you go for your exercise walks, you can listen to it on Audible. Fantastic. And actually, I got a message just yesterday from the great Rudy Kobe, saying, with the 3 legs, and saying that he's just downloaded it. So if he can download it, listen to it, then it's a very encouraging book.
Would you like to read could you read a little portion of it for us before we say goodbye?
I had a guitarist on a cruise ship, and he said, I read your book, and he said, I need my glasses. He said, I haven't written a song for 2 years. And the morning when I finished your book, I wrote a song. So that's the biggest compliment I can get. So this is just a tiny bit. If you're wondering, this is from the introduction, if you're wondering whether this book is going to be your cup of tea, let me be upfront. My story is about magic, stage magic, real magic, and whatever other sort of magic you fancy. It contains dreams of theatres, meddling angels, love and marriage, heartbreak and divorce, a helpful ancient Egyptian goddess, and handy detailed instructions of how to manifest the man or woman of your dreams. I promise to take you behind the curtain, to spill the secrets of how I became a magician, to reveal my secret roller coaster ride caught on the paralyzing barb of a cruel and persistent eating disorder while reaching always towards a dream of light. This book is about keeping hold of your vision for as long as it makes you shiver with excitement anytime you come close. It's a story to convince you to ignore anyone that says you can't, to ignore the even louder voices in your head that tell you in a million nasty ways that you're never going to be or do what you've always dreamed of. This book is about deciding that you're going to walk stubbornly towards your heart's desire and not stop until you're there. Where? There. Then, deciding the same thing over and over again, damn it, until it's done. Or you are. Hopefully it. My story is about trusting the next step will appear, yes, as if by magic. And why draw the curtain aside just now? In magic, timing is everything. It's time to share what I've learned in the hope that it will help someone, somehow. That's what my heart wants. There's nothing more important in the world. That's what it's about.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Romany. It has been a pleasure. And I can't wait till we can get together in real life at another magic convention, or at the Magic Circle, or at Blackpool, or one of the wonderful places magicians get together.
By then I will have practiced, honestly.
So stick around. I want to talk with you a moment or two after the show. But once again, thank you so very much for joining me today.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye. Well, hey, if you think, I want to share with you a couple of things. Let's see. First, yeah, if you want to get Romany's book. You can pick it up on Amazon. It's available on Amazon. If you want to see more of Romany, you can go to her website. There's some videos there and some other great photographs, and you can communicate with her if you wanted to via her website. So do take advantage of that. Now, we had a little fake or fake.
Fact or fake news, fact or fake news, fact or fake news.
So, the prestigious Magic Society, the Magic Circle, was founded in Britain in 1905. A woman was not granted entry into the Magic Circle until 1991. That's almost 90 years later. Is that fact or fake news?
First of all, it's a fact. Okay, nobody knows more about facts than I do, believe me, and that's a fact. It's a fact.
So there you go. It is a fact, and this little bit of trivia. You can know Faye Presto paved the way for women as the first woman that got entry into the Magic Circle. And today there are over 60 women in the Magic Circle, of which our guest today, Romany, is one. So I know we had a couple of people who won. And that's great. We will be giving away that medal to I think Ziggy, you got it right, and Martin, you got it right. So good for you. You get the medal. Hey, just a reminder: if you can, and if you're watching this on Facebook, then please do subscribe. We'd love to have you as a subscribe to our channel. Give us a thumbs up if you've been watching it on the Facebook, and thanks. Come next week. Next week we have Mario Marchese. Mario, the Maker Magician. Now, Mario. If you don't know Mario, he is probably one of, if not the best, one of the best kids family magicians on the planet. He's a very exciting magician, and you're going to want to meet him. I'm going to say thank you to Monty and Walker and Joe Silkie, and the impression that was just done of our president by John Santo, and hope that you, and thank you all for joining us tonight. Today. Do stop in next week, and until then, enjoy the magic of life.